Here are the things that you'll need for making yogurt. A heating pad is important in the last part of the process, and it's great if it's one that's a little bit older and doesn't have the automatic shut-off safety feature that many will have. The only food ingredients I guess we're going to need is a gallon of milk, whole milk. You can do it with other kinds of milk, but we like whole milk so it's thicker. And then you need yogurt for starter, and it doesn't have to be this brand. How do you think that's pronounced? That's right, Fage. Makes no sense whatsoever. But anyway, that's how it's pronounced. The thing is that the yogurt starter has the cultures in it that we want in our large batch. So we're going to need this yogurt. You could use any kind though, but you want it to be plain. We don't want any added sugar or anything like that. Nancy's is also good. We're going to have the large pot that we're going to use. We'll use this later. This is just after part of the process is done. We remove some of the milk and mix the yogurt separately and then pour it back in. We're going to need the 1 cup. This I'm going to have to do a lot of stirring during the boiling process because it doesn't quite boil, but it's okay if it does. The whisk funnel for later on, we're going to put it in these 5 mason jars. Alright, so those are the ingredients we need. Now we'll get started. Remove all the stuff off the stove. First thing we do is I'm going to put the burner on probably 7-ish. This is on a 0 to 10 scale. Putting it on about a 7, and I want to get this process done in as quickly as possible. So that's why I turn it up a little higher. You could do it lower, but the thing is we have to bring all of this whole milk to not quite a boil. So right before the milk boils, it gets frothy, and you can do this with a thermometer, a food thermometer, but ours broke, and so the easiest way is I just go until it starts to boil and I take it off the stove, and that's fine. I think, I don't know all the science behind it, but basically what happens is when you heat the milk to that point and then let it cool, it starts a process where it gets rid of the sugar in the milk, or the lactose. I think the lactose is the milk sugar. Anyway, so all I'm going to do is stir this whole milk with a sort of rubber spatula here until it boils. And it takes a long time, and so you always want to have something, maybe some light reading, something to read. This is New York Times Book of Mathematics, more than 100 years of writing by the numbers. So you can join back up with me later. If you come over and look here in the pot, you can see it's very foamy and sort of frothy. It's just barely starting to boil, and this is how far you want to let it go before you turn the heat off. So I'm just going to turn off the heat, and so that it doesn't scorch because the pan is still pretty hot, I'm just going to move it over to another burner. And what the process now is, I'm going to stir this for a little while the pan cools. And I've been stirring this on the stove for about 30 minutes, a little under 30 minutes, about 25 minutes. And I was stirring constantly so it didn't scorch. And that's why I say you want to have a book or something to occupy yourself while you're stirring. So the process now will be, now that we've raised the temperature, we need to bring it back down to room temperature. And obviously you could just leave it sitting out, but we want to speed up that process. So as soon as I feel like it's cool enough to stop stirring, I'll put it in the sink here, and I'll just fill the sink with cold water. If you want to speed the process up even faster, you could grab some ice out of the freezer, or sometimes I take those travel ice packs and just stick that in the water. And basically bring it back down to room temperature, which, if you're going to use a food thermometer, is 25 degrees Celsius, which is 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's room temperature. And by the way, when I put it in the sink, I'm going to cover it with the lid there. After it's brought back down to room temperature after this stage, then we'll check in again and I'll tell you the next steps in the process. Alright, the pot has cooled enough. I put it in the sink, I put the lid on, and I want to stress we're not getting any water in with the milk, just around it, sort of help bring down that temperature. So I'm just putting water around, and I'll grab some ice packs. Couple of these. The process of making yogurt isn't really that difficult, but there is some waiting involved. If you can't just go start to finish in a few minutes. We're gonna have to wait now until the milk there is down to room temperature. Again, if I had a food thermometer, I would use that. I would put it in and test it when I thought it was probably ready. I'm just assuming that it's going to take a while, maybe an hour. Well, the yogurt's been sitting in the sink, or the milk, I guess, has been sitting in the sink for an hour or maybe a little more. But you just go about your business and wait and then test it. So my very scientific method, it's about room temperature. But again, you can take your food thermometer if you have one and make sure that it is 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. You just need to be brought down. So now we're going to take it out. And we need to get the cultures into the yogurt. So we're going to need to take out, now these measurements are based on a gallon of milk. So you saw that I started with a gallon of milk. I'm going to take out 2 cups of the milk. There's that. Now, you need to add 1 cup of the yogurt to this, and unfortunately, a cup, you'll know, is 8 ounces, and of course they sell them in 6-ounce containers. So we get to use more than one. Like that. All right. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio, 2 cups milk, 1 cup yogurt. If we had used half a gallon of milk, we would have done 1 cup of the milk and then half a cup of the yogurt. Now that's done, we'll whisk it together. The reason we started making the yogurt in the first place is it's very good for your digestion. The standard American diet consists of all kinds of processed junk, and your intestines have good bacteria in there, and we destroy all that good bacteria with an unhealthy diet, and the yogurt helps put some of that back. So people that have inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, there's even been some links of food and digestive health to autism, but I don't, I can only speak mostly to the ulcerative colitis, which it's helped in our family quite a bit. So now that that's mixed, I just put that mixture back into the batch and whisk that again. And that's pretty much it. That is the yogurt. Now the only thing left to do is we're going to put this mixture into the jars with the funnel. And then the last part of this process is, in order for it to become yogurt, it has to sit for 24 hours. And the tricky part is that it has to be kept between 90 and 110 Fahrenheit over the course of those 24 hours. And there are different ways of doing that. There are yogurt recipes where you make it in a crock pot, or some ovens, if they're more technologically advanced than this, you can actually put it in the oven on a warm setting, which keeps in that temperature range. We don't have that option, and so the heating pad works perfect for us. We just put it on the lowest setting. So now that I've got this mix, we'll funnel it into the jars, put it on the heating pad, and go from there. Hopefully the jar doesn't fall over. Good. I just stick the lid right on it. Doesn't matter if it's partially full or all the way full. And it's not going to be sealed or anything. Just putting the jar on it. It doesn't have to seal. There's the first one. So that's that. Again, have the heating pad set on low, and it's going to now sit here for 24 hours. So tomorrow it'll be ready. Sometimes, depending on the temperature, if it's really hot in the summer, I would leave it open like this. If it's in the winter time and it's a little colder in your house, just take a towel and put it over the top, just for a little added warmth. And that's yogurt making. When we left you last, we had the yogurt on the heating pads, and it had to stay on there for 24 hours. It's okay if it stays longer than 24 hours, but it can't be shorter than that. So once it's sat there for the 24 hours, you just take all the jars, put them in the fridge till they get cold, and it should look like this. Firm enough that it's, it's not runny or anything. It's not going to slide out. And you can use it for all kinds of things. Sometimes after you've scooped some out, though, a little bit of watery liquid forms on top, but you just pour it out. There's not really much in there right now. And you can use it on all kinds of things. We use it in smoothies. You can use it in baking in place of sour cream, because the taste is basically the same. I'm going to eat it on homemade granola, but that's for a different video perhaps. So peaches, blueberries, homemade granola, and add a little bit of yogurt. So that's it. Thanks for watching.